Well, the Kirk Cousins era is now over. Vikings analyst Pete Bercich joins us now. And Pete, you kind of alluded to this last night that there may be a lot of money out there waiting for Kirk Cousins. And the Vikings, they drew a line in the sand and said, that's it.
Yeah.
I think he cleared that line by quite a distance.
Yeah, it's I think if you take a step back, and I know the contracts are just, they're getting nutty. But when you said 4 years, 100 million guaranteed, I'd be very interested in what the fan base how they would react to that. And that's just the guarantee, right? We're not talking about the total amount of it's like $180 million over the next 4 years. I think, like I said, the Band-Aid, you rip it off quickly or rip it off slowly. And Cousins said, you know what? I can get this down here in Atlanta. He took it. Now the Vikings have to move on. So now you just sit there and go, well, what if we had done this 2 years ago? Where would we be now? It's kind of what it was along the way. And JJ wouldn't be who he is, I don't think, without Cousins. So it was a good run, but I don't think anybody is blaming the Vikings or blaming Cousins. It's kind of like, okay, this is business. This is how it goes. Now we're looking at a roster where we need 2 quarterbacks. We don't need 1. We need 2. We need a starter and we need a backup. So the next couple of weeks and next few days will be very interesting to see, what the Vikings do.
Do you think the Vikings underestimated the market? Do you think that they thought there's no way he's going to break the bank like he did here, and that they could have got him for $35 million for 2 seasons, and that's what they put on the table, and now they're like, yeah. Whoa.
Well, again, it would be interesting to see, and we'll never know, but what the Vikings did have on the table before Cousins hit the market. And no matter what they put on the table, if Cousins' agent is prudent, he would say, yeah, okay, well, we're still going to test the waters to see what's out there. There was some benefit to the Vikings signing him early. They could spread out, they're going to take another $20-some million cap hit this year. Because Cousins is, left, they didn't have the opportunity to, spread it out over, an extended contract. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say unless you knew exactly what the Vikings were offering them. And I guarantee you, when they saw that number, and they're like, if they did give the Vikings a chance and say, hey, Atlanta, this is what Atlanta's willing to give me. I don't think that they were one bit hesitant to say it's time for you to move on.
No doubt about it. It is a remarkable package for Kirk Cousins. So what has to happen now? Is it now guaranteed that the Vikings have to trade up to get themselves one of those top-tier quarterbacks? And if so, it's going to be expensive because everybody knows you have nothing.
Correct, and that's the one thing you don't want to be in is in a desperate situation. It's just this year with free agency and with the draft is just so interesting. I mean, right now the Bears are panicking because they thought Atlanta would be the one team that would want to trade for Justin Fields. Well, if they're dead set on Caleb Williams, they've got Fields sitting there. They got to do something with him. So what's going to happen with that market now? Is he a possibility? Well, yeah, he's a possibility. He's a quarterback with experience, right? He's out there. He might be, he's on the market. So there's that opportunity as well. Back against the wall again. We've lost quarterbacks like Teddy Bridgewater in the past where we've had to really give up a lot to bring in somebody who maybe was competing somewhere for a starting spot. Now you get to the draft, you look at Caleb Williams and Drake May. Those guys, I think, are going to go 1 and 2. It's going to be very difficult to get up there to get those guys. Depending on how you evaluate them, if you really do think that one of these 2 guys is going to be Just the next Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. All right, well, then you got to put together what you think you're going to need to do to get up there. The question's going to be the Jaden Daniels part of it. Where will he fit? Michael Penix a lot of people have see him dropping out of the top of that, maybe own him the second. JJ McCarthy, I think, is also a guy, but will he get past the teams in front of him? Will he get past the Giants? Is he going to get past a couple teams? How far up do you have to go to grab him? And then don't forget there's Bo Nix as well. I mean, Bo Nix is the kid from Oregon. From what I understand, he's a good system guy. His footwork is very good. His timing is very good. So will he fit what Kevin O'Connell wants to do? And again, that's why we have Kevin O'Connell as a head coach. He knows exactly what he wants from this position, played the position, coached position. Now he's a head coach. He should be able to evaluate the college talent, find out which one of these guys fits best for our system, rank them that way. What are you going to give up to, what would you give up to move up to get them? And then, you play and you go forward. And by the way, you still need a backup, right? You still need somebody to back this guy, whoever it is, if you draft someone, to back them up. So don't be surprised if they go out and pull in a veteran and, everybody's going to be like, oh my God, we're not going into the season with this guy. Well, yeah, you need two quarterbacks. So here we go.
All right. One name that's been thrown about, Sam Darnold. Would he be that patchwork, that bridge quarterback in your mind?
Yeah, someone like a Sam Darnold, absolutely. If the Vikings go out and bring in a guy like Sam Darnold, and I need to watch some film and see where he fits, what his ceiling might be. But a guy like Darnold, yeah, if the Vikings bring someone like him in, I would expect them. Yeah, now he's not the future, right? He's not going to be the future, but he's probably going to be that guy and say, hey, he's a stopgap measure. We prefer to him to be a backup with us. Ideally, we can bring in a rookie. That way, if the rookie doesn't work out or he stubs his toe or just doesn't, because that's what you see. If you're picked number one or number two, you're taking snaps day one at center, right? If you're a rookie quarterback, if you're picked a number, but if you're a little bit later, maybe you say, hey, Darnold's your team. The young guy's we're gonna press him and try to get him ready as quickly as possible. But at least you have some flexibility there. And so don't be surprised if the Vikings do sign and bring in someone like a Sam Darnold, who again, people are going to panic. They're going to be sending the gifs of JJ crying because he's not going to have anyone to throw to him and all that. But let's ride this wave out. And again, I think we can all agree that this organization couldn't pay $180 million over 4 years for Kirk Cousins, right? Cousins wanted to go where he got paid the most. He's a great businessman. He plays out this contract, Jim. He's going to make $400 million by the time he's 40. Not a bad gig. You're up there. I mean, I know you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm right there.
Not quite in that stratosphere, but at the same time, the guy's more of a businessman, I think, than anything else. That's his priority. He loved Minnesota, he loved the team, loved the franchise, yada yada yada. But the man's going to go where he's going to get paid. So it is what it is.
All right. So do you think Justin Jefferson understands this and understands where Kwesi got backed into and is on board with the future? He's not signed yet either. And
right. So
what happens with Justin? Do you think he's fine with this?
Well, you can't let the inmates run the asylum. So you got to balance. You got to kind of balance it against that and say, they have, JJ's locked in for at least, one more year for
Correct.
Sure. You have an option of a fifth. You could do that. You could franchise. There's a lot of things that you can do to keep JJ around. And so he's going to have to be a pro and say, okay, however this works out, it's in my best interest, even if I make it to the free agent market at some point and say I want to leave Minnesota to play to the best of his ability. So You have a little time with JJ, right? You don't have to make that decision right now today. You've got a couple of seasons to work this thing out with Jefferson. And so again, that's not a problem for today. That might be a problem in a year or 2 years. So that kind of, his state of mind and all that is going to have to take a little bit of a backseat for the immediate needs of this team.
All right. How about the defense? It appears Danielle Hunter is also moving on with the moves they made here so far in the legal tampering period.
Yeah, I mean, DJ Wanham. I mean, he's another guy. We'll see what happens with him. You're bringing in a Jonathan Grenard, a physical guy. I'm very interested to start watching some tape on him to see where he fits in this system. Again, Danielle. It's one of those things. When I look at Danielle Hunter, I say this: Are you willing to pay him for a long period of time? The amount that you're going to pay him, are you going to get the 2023 version of Danielle Hunter for the next 4 years, or are you going to get something closer to the 2022 Danielle, right? If he continues to play at the level, if you're convinced, so that's where the Vikings organization's got to look and say, hey, are we convinced that he's going to play at this level for the next 4 years? Then we're going to pay him. But when you just turn around and look at what they paid Grenard, I don't think they're sold on that, right? And they're going to let him test the market, and we'll see where where Danielle ends up. And both of these contracts with Cousins, it's like the man's coming off a torn Achilles, right? There's a big question mark on the health side. Danielle, there's still a question mark, I think, on the health side. He's 29, still has a lot more tread in the tire than normal because of all the football that he's missed. So there's some, there's some youth there as well. But I just don't know if you want to sit back and pay that kind of top dollar for Danielle, again, with kind of the variableness to how well he played. He had an unbelievable 2023. That's why he was the number one free agent in the NFL this offseason. So, best of luck to him, and we'll see if anybody steps up and breaks the bank.
All right. Last thing for you. Where should Viking fans be right now? You need to talk.
They should be somewhere warm. Somewhere warm. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I like that.
Fired up.
That's great. We should do this. Let's take this interview and let's both go to South Beach, and we could talk Vikings football there. I think that would work.
Hey, the fans got to understand, and I think that with the Cousins thing, Atlanta ruined it. Atlanta stepped up and said, we're going to pay you like a mid-20s top quarterback. They broke the bank to bring him in. There's no way the Vikings were going to match that. No, just no way. Not with the guys that they have to sign, not with the other issues on the field. So Cousins leaving, I mean, he could buy. I don't think there's. It's part of the business, right? Even Odie's a little bit excited, that we're going to have a new quarterback in Minnesota. With Danielle, again, are you going to get the 2022 or 2023? Let this thing play out. I have confidence in Brian Flores to know who's going to fit in his defense, right? I think he did a masterful job last year with the same roster from the year before and bringing them from the bottom of the league to around top 10, 15 in a lot of categories. So I think he knows exactly who he needs and who he wants. Offensively, you got a head coach, knows the quarterback position, let him do his thing there, and then we'll see what happens in the draft. I mean, they've got to get a more consistent draft. I think you got to, if you want to start filling these holes, you got to be able to draft and have guys that are going to stick around and contribute. So let's see what happens. Let's have fun with it.
All right. Thank you. Apparently, Odie wants to be fed, so we're going to let you go.
No, puppy. He just likes Jim Rich. He heard your voice. And He's like, I gotta talk to Jim Rich. Oh, hi, Jim. How you doing? Look at that.